Welcome back to the 5th and final episode of this series where I see if I can beat Final Fantasy X-2 using the worst Dressphere combinations. And it is time to tie up any loose ends in the story. And we start off here in Besaid, where Wakka and Lulu have finally had their baby, yeah! But unfortunately it is Ginger, which means it's probably going to look like Wakka, which is very unfortunate for the child.
You think so?
And then when you head over to the beach, you meet Vegnagun, and he's about to leave the island for some reason. And I don't really know why we needed this story closure from a character that we literally met last chapter, very, very briefly when he wanted to burn down the temple. And he gets like this big send-off as if he was an important character. So that's cool, I guess. Glad we got that. Ah, it's got Blitzball. Keep playing Blitzball, Q. You did a great job.
Sorry.
I ran into the cave in Besaid just to see if there were any cool items I could pick up, and then I got myself into this battle here against the corral. And if you remember this enemy from chapter 2, this is the enemy that gave us our first death. And I just want to show you how far we've come in this run, because he does not pose as big a threat as he did all that time ago. We use Kogoro Strike with Yuna, which is an awesome technique that just instantly eliminates an enemy. It just shoots them off into the sky, and now this battle is an absolute cakewalk.
Kimari told me something once. He said, only those who try will become.
Okay, so now we're imitating their voices. That's kind of like the Spira equivalent of putting on a black scent, which is very 2003 of this game, if you know what I mean.
Then Kimari said, Kimari think Riku should stay Riku.
Huh?
If even Wakka, the raging racist, is confused by your racist comments, then that's an issue, right? But we've nearly closed off this chapter in Besaid, and they will tell you several times that Wakka is struggling to come up with a baby name.
What's his name?
Naming my son is my first important decision as a parent.
Pick a name for your baby.
I gotta come up with a name.
Say you picked a name yet?
No, I haven't picked one yet.
We now find ourselves in Kilika, where the fighting has finally come to an end. Yuna has made sure that there is peace in Kilika, and everyone can go to the temple again and have a lovely old good time. Even Bartello and Donna have managed to settle their differences, and she decides to turn into a red balloon. Good for her.
Hey, looky! That's right, folks. Blitzball season has begun.
Finally, the game is literally about to end, and we can only now just play Blitzball. So let's see what Final Fantasy X-2 has decided to do with the Blitzballs. Oh, what is going on here? Am I missing something? So in this game, instead of playing Blitzball, you just kind of hire recruits and make them train, and then you just watch them play, which is so boring. Blitzball had its problems in Final Fantasy X, but it was really fun getting to go around Spira and find players and like actually get to play with them, rather than just sitting there and watching it all happen. And I'm super disappointed by this, and it happens right at the end of the game as well, which is kind of sad. And another thing with the Blitzball in this game, whenever you're not playing a game, you have to watch the other teams play. And like, you watch this footage and tell me if you can decipher what is even going on. Oh my, like the screen is moving so fast, and like, am I supposed to be reading this text in the corner? How am I supposed to read this? Like, what is happening? This is terrible. This is awful. But it's okay, we don't have to play Blitzball. We're running away, and we're heading to the Mushroom Rock Road, where we are tying up loose ends with Yable? I'm sorry, have we met this man?
I hate to say it, I hope I don't sound ridiculous. I don't know who this man is. I mean, he could be walking down the street, I wouldn't know a thing. Sorry to this man.
Maybe I forgot to do a certain mission where this guy was important. Maybe he was in Final Fantasy X and I completely forgot about him. Or maybe I was just taking a massive and didn't actually pay any attention. Either way, I'm glad to see he's doing well, I suppose. But now let's head over to the Jose Temple, where we need to beat up this giant machine to get a special dance for pain. And we haven't upgraded this machina by doing any digging, so it should be easy, right? Okay. So that's another death on our hands. This time I go and change our accessories a bit to be a bit more defensive, and I've re-equipped the ring, and I've decided that I just don't need it in this run anymore. The ring is out permanently, and we swap it for a shining bracer that gives Riku the constant protect effect. And then I go ahead and change some garment grids over for Pain, just making her a bit more defensive. So as I previously mentioned, I haven't been to the Beaconell Desert to upgrade this guy, which is a good thing because this means that this is the easiest this boss will actually ever be. He is at level 0, and at level 0 all he can do is physical attacks to us, and yes, he hits hard, but I know how to deal with physical attacks. We can use Protect with Riku and Cantus Furnace from Pain to reduce all damage. Obviously if I had known that Cantus Furnace could stack, then I would have done that several times, but I didn't know that at the time because the game doesn't tell you that, and I found out all this information after from you guys in the comments, which is lovely. It would have been nice to have known that perhaps while I was doing the run, but that's my own fault for not doing more research, but hey ho, that's okay. We live and we learn. Well, do we ever learn? I don't know. I'm probably going to do another challenge run where I miss out lots of information, but I'm only human and I'm not a very clever human, and I'll admit that, and that's okay. We all have our own faults, and mine is in being a clever boy. So yeah, I'm using Carnival Can to increase our max HP just because I'm a little bit scared and I don't want to die. And we're just using Holy Kogoro with Yuna to get the damage in. And once we're all set up and we've got Protect and we're healing and we're doing all of that lovely stuff, there's nothing that can be done. We're pretty much invincible at this point. Well, not really invincible, but it'd be very hard to lose at this stage. And that's how all these fights go. The beginning parts are the most scary. If we don't set up quickly, it is just like death straight away.
Death to all of them.
But if we manage to just set up correctly at the beginning of the fight, we're fine, you know? And that's what we managed to do in this. We went in and we realized that we needed to do something to change, and now we've done it. And yeah, once again, I've said it once and I'll say it several times. Defense is the best offense with this specific Dressphere combination. Because the defenses are so weak from Riku and Pain, we really just need to sort that out first, and then Yuna can just act as a massive damage dealer. And as you can see here, the fight doesn't go on too long until enough Holy Kogoros knock it out. But it's not over yet because we need to do some more digging to upgrade this guy and beat him again if we want to get the song for Pain. Here we are in Guado Salam, where Trommel has learned the power of being a leader through music or something. I don't remember this being a plot point. I don't remember Trommel wanting to be a leader or him ever even interacting with the little woodland band that are usually in the Macalania. They're telling him he's a great leader because of his music and everyone's happy, and it's lovely. I'm so happy that we got this closure that we needed. I want the best for everyone in Spira because I love them, especially Trommel. He's sexy. I go ahead and move Riku onto the Treasure Hunter garment grid, and that allows her to use Mug, which means we can start a chain off with Yuna, and then I go ahead and give her the Okra Ring, which gives her Lightning Eater and allows her to cast Fundaga. And then I go ahead and give the Tetra Bangle to Yuna, which allows her to absorb all elements. And the reason I do that is because we have this boss battle here against this giant scary beast in the Thunder Plains, and I'm here to just pick up some cool accessories and stuff that this guy drops. And yeah, this is quite a challenging fight, and I know they cast Fundaga, so at least Yuna and Riku can protect against that. And the Tetra Bangle is an incredible item. Being able to absorb all elements means that one character just doesn't have to worry about magic damage, which is incredible. And Yuna's the best fit because her magic defense is a lot lower than the other two characters, and we want her to survive because she's the one doing all the damage. And yeah, you can see here, Fundaga comes out, and that is lovely. They absorb it, and Pain is the only one that takes damage, so we just have to worry about one character. Of course, that's not all this guy can do though. Oh, far from it. It would be much too easy if he just cast Fundaga. And he uses moves like Uppercut instead, which deal big boy damage to us, and it's quite scary. Nothing we can't handle though. And I try to get Mug off whenever there's no healing that needs to be done, just so that Riku has a bit of utility, and it means that we can time it with Holy Kogoro to get off more damage. So giving Mug to Riku instead of Yuna was a much better idea, because we're mainly using Holy Kogoro, so Mug was never being used on Yuna, and it just is a much better fit. Pain will always be dancing, so there's no point in her having Mug. But when there's no healing to be done, Riku needs to be doing something. She may as well be starting chains and stealing valuable items from our enemies. The fight seems to be going well, we're managing everybody's HP well enough, but then it moves on to this phase where it starts to use Tyrant Tail. And this move pushes back our ATB gauge, which is quite frustrating because it means it takes longer for us to get our powerful abilities out. And it doesn't do too much damage, so I'm not too worried, but the pushback in ATB is an issue. And obviously our MP keeps on running out, so we have to keep on restoring it with an Effer. And just as we do that, we do it at the exact wrong time, where it gets out another Tyrant Tail, wiping out Riku and Pain. And I'm like, yikes, when did this happen? Like, the fight was going so well. And then Uppercut comes out, killing Yuna, and it's just Riku alive, and I'm like, she cannot handle anything. Luckily, he seems to be going for Fundaga, which is great, because it can heal her up while we get another player up using full life. And of course we choose Yuna just because her HP is higher. And I'm like, okay, we've stabilized again, this is fine. We are not going to lose this fight, it is going well. Of course it uses Uppercut again on Riku, and she dies, and that means the high potion that I was using on Yuna has now been wasted, and Tyrant Tail is doing a lot of damage because we don't have Protect on anymore because of the KO. We have to get Protect back up again, but before we do that I have to make sure everyone's alive, but he keeps using these powerful attacks and killing everyone, and we just cannot survive this fight without Protect. Like, we desperately need Protect. The only break that we get in this fight is if it uses Fundaga, but as you can see there, it doesn't. It goes for another Tyrant Tail, giving us another game over. I think we just got pretty unlucky in that last fight, so I retried the fight without really changing anything, and just to see if we get some better luck. So I start again by using Dispel, and then as the fight goes on, it gets closer and closer to the end, and it's looking like we're going to win. We do pretty much the exact same thing as we did last time, he just doesn't use double Tyrant Tail, and we kill him with a Holy Kogoro. But it's not over yet, because if you know this enemy, you know he uses Meteor before he dies, and for some reason it attacks everyone except for Yuna. She just comes out of it unscathed, and we win the fight. Nice and easy, I guess. And that is the mission complete there, but we are not done yet in the Thunder Plains because we need to head into this cave to save our Uncle Sid. So this is another reused asset from Final Fantasy X. We already beat up this machine in the last game, and it was that thing that did the big mana beam and counter-attacked us, and it was one of the longer fights in the last game, I remember that much. And this time he has these little watcher things floating around, which he did have last time, but this one just stops us from using certain techniques. I don't know how it does it or why, but I just know we need to get these down straight away so that we can actually start the fight. Because at the moment, a lot of things have been blocked for us. And it's a bit of an issue because I want to use all of our lovely techniques, and I can't right now. I'm trying out some dances that aren't doing anything. I'm just, testing out what I can use. Apparently the Okra Ring was a terrible mistake because Fundaga heals these guys instead of doing damage to them, which is a weird change they make in this game. So in the previous game, Funda was always super strong against any Machina type enemies, but in this game it heals them, which I guess makes sense. Like, if you're pumping electricity into a machine, it's only going to make it stronger. But I guess the idea in the previous game was if you pump too much electricity in it, it causes it to overload and explode, so that's why it was weak against it. So I see the case for both. I think it does make more sense for it to be weak to water because it is a machine, and I'm clearly running out of things to say because I'm just talking absolute nonsense, and it's unimportant. I do like this Gatling gun attack though, that's very cool. It just sort of sprays bullets at you. And you can see here I'm doing the thing where I time Mug and the attack to get a chain off, and it just increases our damage from Yuna just a little bit. I've given Yuna mostly strength building accessories just because I need to get as much damage out of her as possible, so that's why her attacks do so much damage. It shouldn't usually do that. Trying to time it with Holy Kogoro is a bit more difficult because there's the time it takes for her to cast it, but as soon as we get it down, it becomes pretty cool. And 4,000 damage you saw there is pretty nice, and I'm not threatened by this guy. It's just a big machine, we've already beaten it before, and honestly it's a lot easier than the behemoth we just fought, so I'm cool. I'm feeling good, I'm feeling grand. I'm also kind of getting bored of all the side content in this chapter. It is a lot of just catching up with characters and seeing how their story ends, but I never really cared too much about most of the characters because there was always so much other crazy stuff going on. And then there's just a bunch of random boss battles. Some are like extremely hard that you need to do like tons of grinding for. And some are just kind of easy like this one. And this is one of the easy ones, which is nice. Apologies for the people that prefer the sort of like commentary side of this more. The like memes and all the story stuff. Because this chapter is just like boss battle after boss battle. And of course we've got like the final boss battles at the end, which is quite a big section. So this one is a lot more like gameplay heavy than the other ones. But that is just the nature of the ending of the game. But yeah, I didn't tell you any strategy there because it's the same strategy we use for every boss fight with Dirty Dancing and Holy Kogoro. Now that this mission is done, I think it's finally time to confront the digging and upgrade the machine in the Jose Temple to level 5 so that we can beat it up and then get Pain's final dance move. And I forgot how tedious the digging is. You just have to go to like all these different spots, find the yellow X on the map, dig for it, hope that it gives you a really good part that increases its abilities even more and not a crappy one. But it takes a long time. This probably took like more than half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. And it's just going backwards and forwards, saving it, finding the right part, running back again. And as you can see, my dog here makes it even more challenging because he's doing that thing where it just glitches out and it's like, I just want this to be over with. Yeah, oh look, he's running in circles now and then he misses. And the dog physics in this game, like what were they thinking? But we finally do it, and then to get the last thing that we need, we have to do some chocobo breeding. And I'm looking at the manual of what it says I need to do and I'm like, oh, that sounds like a lot. So I decided to just give up. We don't get the special dance for Pain, I'm sorry, but it was just too much work to try and get it. Even after all that digging, it led to nothing. So let's just get on with the main story now.
Searching, flapping, neighboring, goldwings, attack!
Quiet! I have never in my life yelled at a girl like this!
We've jumped into the holes and are ready to head to the far plane to fight Vegnagun and save the boys. But of course we have to go through the Dark Aeons again because we haven't killed all of them yet. And this is the next one we have against Shiva. And Shiva is a pretty cool Aeon. One of my favorites actually. I love her design. It's like the tiny body with the giant hair. It's very cool. She's very agile and just like fun to look at. Kogoro Blaze is actually our best friend in this fight. But we can't seem to land it because Shiva has a lot of evasion, which means it is taking us a while to be able to hit her. But we did equip Riku with an accessory that gives her Blizzaga and also makes her absorb blizzard attack, so she is immune to most of her damage, which is lovely. Yeah, there's not too much that Shiva can do to us. Her Heavenly Strike, in the old game it used to delay us, but in this game it reduces our HP and MP, which is very, very frustrating. Yeah, as you can see here, we are struggling a little bit to get hits out on her, but luckily she isn't doing too much damage to us, so we don't have to worry on that front. It is just about trying to actually get her. And Dirty Dancing is doing its wonders again, and we're landing hits that are over 3000 damage. So Yuna is now like a boss ass, you know, she's really, really putting in the work. I should really be using some sort of dance or song that can boost our accuracy because we're just missing way too much with Yuna. That is a downside of the trainer, the accuracy is rather low. But even despite that, Shiva, you can see, is starting to fall a little bit, which means she's about to die. And of course, she does. So, yeah, that was the Shiva fight. And then I actually lost the rest of the footage from this run. So, I will try to illustrate it as best as I can here. Do not fear though, we did remember to start recording again towards the end of the game, so you haven't missed everything. But all my notes say from the lost footage is that we had a very long fight with the Mage's sisters, but they didn't do too much damage to us and we beat them. Anima was super easy and we ended up doing 999 damage with Holy Kogoro, and you're just gonna have to take my word for it because there is absolutely no proof of that. And then LeBlanc says something about Nuge.
I must report to Nuji Wooji at once. Nuji Wooji. Nuji Wooji. Nuji's Wooji. Nuji Wooji. Nuji. Nuji Wooji. Nuji's Nuji.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
And then I was like, I can't be bothered to look up a walkthrough on how to do the note playing minigame. So we fight the Guardian and it destroys us. And I'm like, let me just try again, and it destroys us again. So I'm like, okay, I look up a walkthrough and then I figure out how to do the puzzle. And then I saw that we had lost all the footage and decided to record again. So here we are in the final dungeon against Vegnagun, and it is the Gullwing's job to fight the tail. And I won't show you the entire fight because there's a lot of fights in this last phase, and this is the easiest of the battles. And you'll see here, when it uses this tail sweep attack, it does tons of damage to us. But luckily, once we get Protect up, it does a whole lot less. So I'll show you here, we are using Curaga to get our health back up, and then using Protect to make sure that we don't take too much damage. Luckily, this boss is very slow, and it doesn't do that tail attack very often. But now you can see there, with Protect, it's only doing 600 damage. So one more Holy Kogoro knocks it out. But then we have to move on to Vegnagun's legs, because LeBlanc is incapable of doing it herself. So now it's time to go help LeBlanc out.
I'll let you have this one. I'm going to go cheer Nuji on.
Now we have the leg fight, and the leg fight is actually very difficult, mainly because it just has 4 different components to it that can all attack you. So you're battling against 4 enemies that are very quick and just get a lot of attacks in quickly. You also can't reach the little orbs that are on the top unless you're using magic damage, and I soon realised there's just absolutely no point in that because it does barely anything, and you're best off just attacking the leg and pretending the orbs don't exist. They do, however, cast lots of healing spells. They cast Shell, they cast Haste. You can see someone's been petrified and is now dead. And this all just happens very quickly. And I'm like, whoa, I was not prepared. I also hadn't saved after the tail fight, which means I have to go through that again. And yeah, we get a game over very quickly. So this time I'm like, okay, we're going to do things differently. I beat the tail again, and then I run all the way out of the dungeon, back to the save point, save the game, and run forward to start the leg fight again. Of course we die again. This guy's really difficult. But luckily this time I saved, and I decided to change my accessories around this time. We put Riku on a garment grid that gives her plus 15 defense and magic defense, and then I give Pain the crystal bangle, which just doubles her HP, meaning she will survive a bit better. And now we are ready to fight this guy once more. I removed the smooth shaling from Pain, which is kind of unfortunate because slow is actually very good for the songstress, and also being immune to everything is great. But luckily in this fight, Vegnagun's leg here helps us out a bit and casts slow on Pain, which is very handy because it just means that she can now dance for much longer. I don't really know how, but this time it just goes a lot smoother and we barely die at all. I think just increasing people's defenses just made it so that we weren't dying and just meant that this fight became a lot easier. And of course they still get in a lot of attacks and things like that, but we are just better equipped and more protected against their deadly attacks. And yeah, you can see there, we're barely taking much damage. And we're just quickly using Dirty Dancing and Holy Kogoro to make work of the leg while Riku heals us up. Same as we do every other fight. I'll rush forward to the end here so that you can see that we kill the leg without much issue.
We'll finish it.
Do it.
The torso is next, and we have this voice telling us what to do, and it sounds very familiar.
This time the legs are just a distraction. You know where to strike.
I'm pretty sure that's Auron's voice, and I don't really know why you can hear Auron's voice. He kind of chimes in and out during these last battles, and it's really cool. At first I was like, is that Nuge talking to you? But I'm pretty sure that is Auron's voice. But we never see Auron, we never like have any hints towards him. He just speaks to us for some reason in these last fights. It's a cool little detail, but I'm just not quite sure why that happens. I saw someone in a comment on another video say that it was Jet's voice, and I don't hear it. I hear Auron for some reason. So in this battle, he only ever attacks us whenever we attack him. So if you use magic on him, he will attack your MP, and if you attack him with physical attacks, he will just counter attack with a physical attack of his own. Eventually he does do this thing where he gets on all fours and lifts himself in the air, charging an attack. And this is where we need to be careful because this is when he can do some scary damage. Luckily the counterattacks aren't too bad, and if we don't want him to hurt us, we just don't attack until we get ourselves back to normal again. But yeah, here comes his big attack, which does a ton of damage to us, but not enough to kill us. And what's nice about this is if we are low on HP, we can just stop attacking to make sure that he won't attack us. And yeah, as you can see, we're all on low health, so this is the perfect time to start healing ourselves up. I'm actually making use of some of our items now that it's towards the end, and I'm like, okay, I've barely used items at all. So So making sure to use mega potions when we run out of MP and things like that. I also use my mega elixirs and just to get everyone back to their normal MP, because Yuna can use some powerful techniques and it just makes sense to use a mega elixir. It just heals up everybody's MP and HP. And as you can see there, Yuna has now learned Pound, which is her final ability as a trainer. So that's quite nice. We got her final ability here in the final few fights. And it's actually a very strong ability, and I wish I had this throughout the rest of the game. Holy Kogoro is fine, but Pound just seems to do more damage, and it's like her ultimate move. She summons like every single dog in the world to come and attack them. It's very camp, it's very stupid. Like, where do all these dogs come from, and why is that an ability? To just summon a bunch of dogs? I thought Yuna's summoning days were over, but apparently she can muster up dogs from thin air. But whatever, it looks cool to do it. So Pound becomes our new damage technique. Holy Kogoro is out of the picture, and it's all about Pound. This guy is not giving us as much trouble as the legs were. I found the legs a lot more difficult because they would just attack you non-stop, whereas this one you can kind of choreograph it. He does a lot of healing spells on his legs, but we ain't even bothering with the legs. We don't even touch them. The amount of times he casts regen on them for absolutely no reason, because regen doesn't do anything. Once you've already got regen, you've got regen, and I'm not attacking them, so they're not losing health anyway. So it's nice that they're wasting a lot of turns doing that. They do like to put status ailments on you, like Doom and Bio and Petrify. We do get quite lucky a lot of the time, and the Petrify doesn't hit us, but Doom does and Poison does. Luckily they're a bit easier to deal with than Petrify. So we just have to make sure we are removing that whenever we can. Not having the Schmooth Shaling means that we actually do not protect against those anymore, which is kind of sad, but the boost in HP was definitely needed for Pain, because she was dying quite frequently, and now she has like the highest health than any of the characters, which is nice. He is now dead, and nobody even died in that fight. That was nice and easy. And I thought that was it. I thought we could now fight Barreleye, but nope, apparently we have to go and fight the head now. Auron is still talking to us, and this happens quite a lot, and I don't understand why they don't explain this part. I guess they just sort of leave it to your interpretation that like Yuna is hearing Auron's voice in her head, and it's giving her the strength to do this. But like, we didn't hear anything of Auron the entire game, so why does he just show up in Yuna's head now? But anyway, now that Vegnagun is powered up, I guess, or is getting desperate, it's shooting out its giant gun from its mouth, and what is that? This is like the most Japanese thing ever, and I love it. It's very cool. It's just this giant gun coming out of this like bug-looking robot. Like, who thinks of this? And the answer is Square does. And I'll admit, as silly as Vegnagun is, and the sort of like MacGuffin that he is that what it's called, a MacGuffin, where it's just like a random plot point used to give everyone urgency, despite just being like a MacGuffin to have a cool robot without really making much sense, it does look kind of cool. It's very like beast-like while also being robotic, while also being kind of like bug-like and creature-like, and it's got a cool design. I wish we got to see more of Vegnagun rather than just in like little cutscenes. Then I guess it's kind of cool to keep the anticipation going. You kind of just see him in these little cutscenes, little glimpses of him without ever actually seeing it until the final moments, and I guess that's kind of cool. I'll give the game props for that. Is it as cool as Sin though? I don't think so. Sin had more of a presence, whereas like this is literally a machine. I don't understand why Barreleye is playing the piano on his head, or what that has to do with anything.
What does that have to do with anything?
And even like the final dungeon that you guys missed because I lost the footage, it's like all music based, and I'm like, huh? Why? Is that because Yuna is a singer, or because Len, or because... the story of this game does still kind of confuse me. I still don't really know who Shuyin is and why he wants to destroy the world. I know that he was a Blitz player and he was in love with Len, who was a pop star, but why does he want to kill everyone? Is it because people tried to kill him? Because he tried to expose Yevon for having this giant monster, so now he's dead, he's like, well, I'm going to use this giant monster to kill the world so I can find Len again. I don't really know. It does kind of take away from these final moments, because it's like, oh, big scary boss battle, but I'm still unsure on what we're doing, what the mission is and what the goal is. I realize I've not said anything about the fight, so I'm just going to get into that real quick. This iteration is actually fairly difficult and takes a bit longer, and that's mainly because he just does a lot of things, you know. It's hard to predict what he's going to do. He just chucks out big scary attacks and status ailments constantly. So, as you know, we are doing the usual pound, dirty dancing, healing off our status ailments, blah 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 blah. You guys get the point. I don't want to drag this on too much. I know it's the final fights, but you guys can see what is happening on screen. And this video is getting very long just because there are several boss battles in this. And this is the time where we are using all of our potions, using all of our techniques, using everything that we've learned throughout this game to defeat the Vegnagun. That's what it's called, Vegnagun. Cool name, Vegnagun. Like, I might name my firstborn kid that. And it's and a gun comes out of him. I guess that's why they call him Vegnagun.
I have the mind of a mastermind. What's that? I don't know, but you know, I'm so creative like that.
That's probably the gun part. Okay, that attack, that attack did a lot of damage. We nearly die. That's quite scary. I think I panicked at this moment because I'm like, oh my god, thank god they used Demi, and thank god I have some Mega Phoenixes still left, because that could have been dangerous. Although, annoying thing, in Final Fantasy X, the Mega Phoenixes would bring you back to full health, whereas in this game, they don't do that, so I'm like, oh god, I'm going to die. We get very lucky though. He uses a lot of status ailment attacks, as well as like Demi, so like all things that can't actually kill us, and we managed to get enough turns in to heal up. Because I swear to god, if he had killed us in that moment and we had to start all the way again from the tail, when I beat the tail and saved it, we'd have to start from the leg fight again. If I had to do that, I would have thrown my controller on the floor and been like, you know what, we're just going to try this challenge again tomorrow. Because at this point, I'm at that stage where I've been fighting a long time, I lost a bit of footage, I'm already getting a bit like delirious and crazy, and I just kind of want it to be over. Yeah, it would have been nice if there was like a save point between each of these fights, but I get it, they want it to be a challenge, so they want you to have to go through it all again to make you remember it a bit more, because you would have had to have done it 1,000,001 times. I don't remember struggling with this fight when I was younger or when I've played this game before, and I think it's just because I used really broken Dresspheres like the Psychic or the Dark Knight or the Gun Mage, or, you know, all of those really good ones, whereas I'm using these terrible ones, and I guess this is where the challenge is just dying lots. But like I've said, the way that this challenge became a lot simpler was just by thinking about our defense more than anything, especially with Riku and Pain. Allowing Yuna to just be the solo damage dealer was like the best decision I made, and focusing on increasing people's HP and defenses just meant that I had more survivability, because dying in this game is terrible. Once you die, when you're revived on very little health, and then it's a scramble to try get back to full again. So if you just make sure they never die, you can make sure that you are winning more frequently, I suppose. And Pound is just doing work. I love watching all these dogs. It kind of like ruins the vibe of this fight. It's very dark and mysterious and like end of the world, and then you have like a bunch of dogs just like scratching at his mouth, and that does damage apparently. So yeah, people were scared of this giant monster that could destroy the world. It's okay. About 10 dogs are all you need to defeat it. So yeah, I'm going to skip forward towards the end here, because I think you've seen enough of the fight, and I think you are getting the hint that we are the best. So yeah, a few more attacks come in, a few more deaths, a bit of drama, and we destroy the head.
Yeah, let's have the shoot.
You are not Len!
Now this is the final fight of the game against Shuyin, and he does all of the same attacks that Tidus does. And I don't know if these characters are actually linked in any way, or they just look similar, but like, why does he have the exact same moveset as Tidus? And I guess it's because they didn't want to build a new model, and they just wanted to reuse Tidus's old moves. It is quite cool to see Tidus's old attacks again, but yeah, this fight is actually very easy. The only thing we have an issue with is this like Blitz Ace attack, which isn't called Blitz Ace, it's called like Zanakin's End or something, I don't know. That's the only thing that does a big amount of damage, and almost certainly KOs anyone he targets, no matter what. But aside from that, the fight is not hard. He only ever uses physical attacks, so we just use protect and we're like pretty sound. And then we're just using pound over and over again until he dies. I'm not going to show you all of this fight. I know it's the final fight and it takes away from the drama of it all, but like there really is not much to say about this. It's very easy. It's kind of like the Yu Yevon fight in Final Fantasy X, where it's not actually a difficult fight. It's not designed for you to die in. It's like Vegnagun was the hard fight, and this is just like the end story fight to tie things up and have a sort of dramatic ending. So yeah, Shuyin is now dead, and we get the ending.
1,000 years, and this moment is all we get?
This is the first time we actually hear Len speak, and I'm pretty sure it's the same voice actor as Belgamino.
I don't need anything else. Destroy sin and save Spira. Just knowing how you feel is enough.
Stop. That is enough.
Now that Len and Shuyin have been reunited, they can finally disappear together. And although Yuna cannot be with her love, at least she helped someone else. And that ends chapter 5, finishing the game. And the ending is very similar to Final Fantasy X, but instead of Yuna giving a speech to everyone, it's the Jonas Brothers of Spira. And they're talking about being a boat. Nuja's a boat, and Barrelai is a boat, and they all want people in them, because that's what people do on boats. They sit on them, and they want people to sit on their face. That is what I'm getting from this speech. It's a lot less heartfelt than Final Fantasy X, I'll be honest. But basically they're just saying, hey, we were enemies when we shouldn't have been, and now we're friends again, so everyone else can be friends again, right? We're sorry that we were cult leaders and we led you all into fighting each other. We've all decided to be friends, and let's all just be happy.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
Which is, hey, it's a good ending, I guess. Everyone is happy, Vegnagun is gone, so everyone can just chill out. I will say, I'm over these boys. They didn't bring much to this game. But I will say they did a great job with Yuna. Like, despite her growth, she is still herself. And I think that shows in the ending. In Final Fantasy X, Yuna was very selfless and did everything for everyone else. And in this game, she kind of decides to do things for herself. But in the end, she is still her, and she is still a selfless person, hence why she helped Len and Shuyin unite again, because she knows the pain of not being with your loved one, and if she can't be with hers, at least she can help someone else be with theirs. And that just shows that despite her growth and change in attitude, she is still her at her core. Despite not being the cinematic masterpiece that Final Fantasy X was, it still has a poignant point to make about Yuna. And hey, the game is fun. I had a fun time playing this game. I'm not gonna lie to you, the battle system is very enjoyable, and I kind of ruined that by doing this challenge and having really boring, terrible Dresspheres. But when you play this game properly and you get invested with the Dresspheres and the battle system and everything that it has to offer, it is actually an enjoyable experience. So if you're a fan of Final Fantasy and you like 10, I would definitely give this game a go. But just don't use the bad Dresspheres. Use Psychic, use Dark Knight, use all the really cool fun ones. Don't bother with these. I wish they would make a 10-3. I'm gonna be honest, they might ruin the story. I've heard there's an audiobook that like completely destroys the story, but we'll just pretend that doesn't exist and let's continue the story. Or, you know what I would actually like? A prequel where it's Jecht, Braska and Auron all together trying to like defeat Sin, and seeing like a young Yuna and a young Kamari, and like seeing Spira in the past when it's like less hopeful and, you know, having to get the final Aeon and all of that. That's what I would really like. If they ever want to continue the story, I think a prequel is the way to go. I would play that game. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Should they continue the story with a 10-3 or give us a prequel, or just leave the series where it is? Just accept these two games as the canon and just leave the story there. If you guys have enjoyed this series, please do not forget to like, comment and subscribe. These videos take a very long time and they are extremely fun to make, and I love seeing all the comments. But if you do appreciate this series and you want me to make more, YouTube now has an option to give tips. So if you are in a position where you can give a tip, then leave a tip underneath. You don't have to, I'm not expecting anything. But if you have been on this journey with me and enjoyed it and have the money to spare, then hey, go ahead and leave your boy a tip. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. My name has been Jamsack. See you guys next time.
This is my story. It'll be a good one.
I think the not, you trick ass bitch.